Well, hello and welcome to another video in the series where we're taking a closer look at the quantum trading tools and indicators. And in this one, we're focused on NinjaTrader 8 and in particular the Market Analyzer, which is a free application which comes with your NinjaTrader control panel. And the reason we're looking at that is because I'm delighted to announce that we have now ported over many of the indicators which can now be installed on the analyzer. And as you can see, I've created 4 in this workspace, but I'll walk you through how I've done that and also the setup and everything else. So I'm thrilled to be able to announce this. And in particular in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the Forex specific indicators, which are up in the top left. I think the place to start is really where you find the market analyzer. And if we go down to the control panel, just click on that and we go to new. And there we go. It's around about halfway down here. Market Analyzer. We just click on that and up pops our Market Analyzer, which of course doesn't look like anything like the one that we have here. It looks rather bland and uninviting, and it always looks like this, but rest assured, once you start to add a few colors to it and get the indicators loaded up, it'll look much, much prettier, and I'll show you how to do that. But that's how to access the Market Analyzer itself. Let's just click that off and drop that out of the way for a moment. Now, one thing I need to clarify before we move forward, and it's often a question we get, and it's not a question that you find an easy answer to either if you search. The default time setting for all market analyzers is 1 minute. So anything you load up will automatically default to 1 minute. And you might wonder, looking at the analyzer, where and how you change the time frame, which is a good question. And it's not as straightforward as you might think. So what I plan to do is record a separate video for that, just to show you how it's done. It's not that difficult, but if you don't know where to look, you will be searching around for it, I can assure you, because if you're like me, intuitively, you would expect to see a column somewhere that you would load up, which tells you your time frame. And unfortunately, it doesn't quite work like that. So we have to go about it in a slightly different way. And doing that, we use the tab down here, or this is one of my suggestions at any rate, that you use the tab down here. Now, I've got this defaulted just to the what is picked up as the workspace, which is Market Analyzer. But when you set these up, because you will want to run them in multiple time frames, then the best way to do it is to set them up on tabs in a workspace and name them accordingly. So this one, for example, you could call M1 and give it some reference that you recognize. Then you might make another one, which is a 3 minute, so you'd call that M3, and then a 5 minute M5, and so on and so forth. It's one way of doing it, and I think it makes it nice and clear as well, so you'll be able to pick them out very quickly, because if you don't label them in that way, you will never be certain what time frame you're looking at, because it isn't instantly clear from the market analyzer itself. So I wanted to highlight that point up front, but as I say, I'm going to do a separate quick video on it just to show you how to do that yourself. So with that said, let's move forward. And I think the first place to start is up at the top left here. If we just right click on there, this is a really handy little feature that is not widely publicized, to be honest, where you can duplicate. So once you've spent time creating your workspace, your market analyzer, your first one, and you're happy with it, then you simply hit the duplicate button or the duplicate window there, and you can have as many as you wish. It's a very, very quick way of creating 2, 3, 4, or however many you want to set up. So I wanted to show you that as well. If we right-click on the Market Analyzer, this brings up this pop-up window. And really, there's only 2 places that you need to focus on. The first is columns, which is where we find the indicators themselves and install them into the Market Analyzer. And the other one is properties. Once you've created your Market Analyzer, you can, of course, add rows, add label rows, and you can also add your instrument list. Now, I created one just to populate here called Forex list, and you literally click that and it pulls them all in. So you can create those, or they have pre-configured lists as well. So let's start with properties first of all. It's not terribly comprehensive, I must be honest, but you can change the font as I've done here. I've made it much larger so you can see it on screen. You've got text row alignment here, so you can align things in the way you wish. And this is the function that I was talking about, the tab name. As you can see, it's set to @function, which means it picks up the function, which is Market Analyzer. But what I suggest you do is to rename that every time you set a time frame, so you have them set and you can see what those time frames are instantly once you open the tab. So that's on the basic settings. Not going to take too long here because you can see where all the color changes can be made, and that's fairly straightforward stuff. If we click on the columns, there we go. And this is where you find first of all, the market analyzer indicators, which are in this little folder, which I'll click on in a moment. And secondly, you also find a lot of standard offerings which come from NinjaTrader, which are there as part and parcel of the setup. So you can add all of those, any that you care to choose from that particular list. If we then click on the folder, which is where all the indicators sit, and as I say, I really want to focus on these three at the top: the currency strength indicator, the currency array, and the currency matrix. And to add them, it's as you would expect with Ninja, very straightforward. You literally click on the indicator you want to add, and then click Add at the bottom in exactly the same way as you would add an indicator to a chart on the platform itself. So that's where you find them, and they're all in there, all the ones that we've ported across, as you can see, right the way down the list. They're all available to add into a market analyzer of your choice. So let's click on that, and let's just focus for a moment on the top left market analyzer, which is where I've set those three up. So I've got the CSI, the currency matrix, and the currency array. Now bear in mind this is on 1 minute, so these are moving pretty quickly. If we start with the currency strength indicator, the column on the left, what this is telling you is it's telling you where the currency, because this is the individual currencies, of course, where they are in terms of their ranking. So that's the value that's pulled from the index or the indicator, which oscillates between 0 and 100. And then in addition to that, it also shows you when a currency is potentially, and I use the word potentially, oversold or overbought. And those will be triggered when the currency in question moves to the 20 zone, to the downside, or up to the 80 zone in the top side. So overbought at the top and oversold at the bottom. Again, this is only a signal. It's potential. It doesn't automatically mean the currency is going to reverse. I'm sure you already appreciate. But nevertheless, it's a great way of keeping tabs without having multiple CSIs open, using it in this way, and you can instantly see when a currency or currency pair, indeed, because we've got the matrix and the currency array running alongside, are getting into potentially oversold and overbought conditions. So it just pulls all that data together really nicely. And I haven't got all 28 pairs up here because it didn't fit in the layout of the screen, but of course you'd have all 28. And you could keep a close eye on them. And then, of course, you'd have them in multiple time frames. So if you're a scalper, you might have a 135, 123, whatever it is. And then you can see as the changes take place across the time frames, you'll see that effect come into play. You'll see the oversolds or the overboughts come up on your CSI, which is basically looking at the individual currency. And can I also reference the fact that we always talk about these indicators in the context of the spot market, which is absolutely fine. But then, of course, they work in exactly the same way in the currency futures market. So if you're a futures trader, these indicators are perfect. They do need to be applied clearly to the spot charts to operate. But if you are trading currency futures, the information they relay and they deliver is precisely the same. It makes absolutely no difference. It's something that occasionally we miss ourselves. So really just reinforcing that point that don't think these indicators are specific to the spot market only. Yes, to work, to operate, they need to be driven by the spot market. That's how we've developed them. But in terms of their application and analysis, exactly the same for the currency futures market. And can I also add that in currency futures now, not only do we have to trade, or do we have the option only of trading the large contract sizes, which are 100,000 plus, there are a lot of mini or micro contracts available now, so do check them out on the CME site. The currency matrix then pulls in the data as you would expect in terms of the ranking. So this is telling you the value of each of those pairs as they sit on the ranking ladder, and you can reorganize them or you can rearrange them as well as you wish. And then finally over onto the currency array, this is pulling the data from the array, and as with the currency strength indicator, you can see that we are now getting signals of currency pairs in this case, which are potentially approaching oversold, or indeed are potentially overbought now. And those are flashing on and off. Bear in mind, this is 1 minute. Keep reminding you of that fact. Hence, these are moving around very quickly. But again, it's a great way to keep track of what is going on, and it's also reinforcing what is happening over here in terms of your CSI and what is going on in terms of the ranking on your currency matrix. And really just to reinforce that, I've set up another workspace to show you that visually, which is this one. Just pull that up on screen. And so what we're seeing on that market analyzer, really pulling everything together, is we've got our currencies here, our individual currencies. Just move that over a little bit, rising and falling. And once they reach these extremes of 80, which is potentially overbought, or 20, which is potentially oversold, then that will be triggered on the market analyzer. The currency matrix here is delivering your values, so it'll tell you which one is the strongest and which one is the weakest in terms of the ranking ladder there. And finally, over here on our currency array, these are all on 1 minute, so they are mirroring what is going on in terms of our market analyzer. Over on the currency array, as you can see, we have our oversold, potentially oversold here in the darker brick red with the little brackets around. And we've got potentially overbought up here at the top. Again, darker color with the brackets of around the OB. And if that develops into overbought, then it will become light blue and the brackets will disappear. And down at the bottom here, an oversold would be bright red, again, with the brackets disappeared. So there's a lot of data there being pulled into the market analyzer. So let's go back to that workspace. There we go. And just move the control panel out of the way. So those are the currency specific ones. Now there are one or two options, particularly within the, if I just right click here and we go into columns, if we want to amend anything on any of the indicators, here you will find the settings. So those are the settings for the currency strength indicator. There we are for the currency matrix, and finally onto the currency array. And with the currency array, we do have the option, if you don't want to have the overbought, oversold, you can simply have the ranking there as well, or in place of that as an option. And you've got the other settings down here, and you've got all the instrument settings down here as well in terms of time frames. So that's where you find the individual settings for the indicators. So that's our Forex specific market analyzer. And then, of course, I've got several others here. I haven't got them all because I couldn't fit them all onto the workspace. But the principle of applying them is precisely the same. You just create a market analyzer, you duplicate it, and you can then, for that same list, if that's what you want to do, then you just simply add the indicators or remove the indicators you don't want and add those that you do. And I would suggest that you don't cram the analyzers with too many because it gets too busy. And what I've done here is really break them up into pairings almost. And these are just suggested pairings, but they're ones I find useful. The first is the trend monitor and the quantum trends. As I'm sure you're aware, these two indicators work. Just going to move that out of the way. If I can grab it, there we are, just move that out of the way. These two indicators work very close together. They are sister indicators. The trends indicator works very close to the price action. The trend monitor takes a more considered view of changes in trend, weakening in trend, or strength in trends. So the two are a perfect combination. And using them on the market analyzer in this way is just another great way to save you having all these charts up, because you've got all the pairs here, and this is telling you instantly what is going on. And of course, just to reinforce it, as I said earlier, use them in multiple time frames, and you've then got the blend of everything. You've got everything encapsulated in one place. Very, very easy to look to get a grip on what is going on, because what you will see moving across from your fastest time frame, which will be your 1 minute, out to, let's say, I don't know, let's say you go 1, 5, 10 out to your 10-minute time frame, you will see these transitions. You will see the color changes for the trend monitor. You'll see the trends changing color. You've got the three colors here on the trends. You've got the bearish, the bullish, and the neutral. And then you've got the various color changes on your trend monitor, where we go through 4 sequences from a brighter color into a darker color and out the other side if it's a full rotation from bullish to bearish or bearish to bullish. So you have this wealth of information constantly being delivered, constantly being updated, and giving you a heads up, a very visual heads up on what is happening across the currency pairs of your choice. Down onto the bottom left market analyzer here, and I've got the volume relative strength indicator, and I've got the volatility indicator. The volume relative strength indicator is relatively new, but the color sequences, if you like, work in a very similar way to trend monitor, in that strong colors here represent bullish or bearish, and weaker colors represent a weaker sentiment, either bullish or bearish. And of course, as you would expect, you can change the colors as you wish, simply by clicking on it and adjusting them accordingly. If I just click on the workspace, we go into columns, go down to our VRSI, there we are, and we can set the colors up down here. Strongly bullish, weak bullish, strong bearish, and weak bearish. So we can set whatever color choice we have. And again, it's a very visual way of keeping track of what the sentiment is for your particular pair. And of course, you will have the trend monitor and the VRSI will be working very much in tandem together. So again, very complementary in the sense of helping you to identify changes in trend, continuation of trend. And both these indicators, the other thing I think which these two indicators share in common is the reason we develop them is really with one key idea, first of all, which is to help you stay in a trend, because staying in a trend is the hardest thing to do. We all know it. We get into a good position and then the market starts to reverse against us. We panic and emotion triggers and we get out of the trade and we're left sitting high and dry, because invariably what happens is that trend continues, and all that we've been kicked out of the market or flicked out of the market is on the emotion of a minor pullback or a minor reversal. That secondary trend, if you like. I'm sure you're familiar with primary and secondary trends in terms of VPA analysis, where we see a secondary pullback, secondary reversal. If it's on falling volume, a lack of interest, then we know we're going to continue in the trend. And it's another key aspect of VPA analysis, which helps us immensely in staying in trends once we've got a good position. And these indicators do much the same job as well. With the colors, they will help you to stay in and maintain that profitability and not be triggered out on emotion, which is the worst thing to do. But it's so easy to do because, let's face it, we're all human beings and we all suffer it. So I just wanted to reference that again and just remind you of the importance of these indicators in that context, if you will. Alongside that, we've got the dynamic volatility indicator, which is another invaluable indicator which triggers on volatility, a move outside the average true range. And you can see what happens here. As soon as we get a bar which moves outside the average true range, signaling volatility, then the indicator kicks in. And again, it's a terrific way with the market analyzer to keep track of what is going on in terms of volatility across all our pairs. You either want to know about it for an opportunity, in other words, you're waiting for a volatile move on the anticipation of perhaps a pullback or reversal. So you are looking to identify those as potential trading opportunities. The other flip side of the coin is you have a position in the market and you want to know when a volatility bar is triggered, because you want to close out and get out and take your profit, because you don't want to sit through either congestion or reversal. Worst thing you can do. So again, it's a really, really nice early warning system. And of course, with the volatility indicator, the other great thing with that indicator is it doesn't trigger on the close. It triggers as soon as the average true range metric is met, which is absolutely key. On a 1 minute time frame, it's not so important, clearly. On a 1 hour time frame, it's invaluable. Or a 15-minute time frame. You don't want to sit for 15 minutes not knowing about volatility and have to wait till the bar closes. Well, it doesn't work like that. It triggers as soon as the metric has been met. So once the price action has moved outside the average true range, bang, the volatility signal is triggered, and the same occurs here. So you will see it instantly highlighted in that magenta color. Can't miss it. It's absolutely terrific. Finally, over on the right-hand side, another workspace, and this one I've got two volume indicators. I've got our VWAP and I've got our VPOC alongside one another. And again, I think it's a great combination. They work very well together. And of course, alongside here, I've got the ask price as well to really give us a sense of where we are, where the price is in relation to both the VWAP, which is absolutely key, and of course the VPOC as well. So you can see from this very simple workspace I created, I've just got 4 market analyzers here. I created them in this way just to look good on the screen. But when you create them, as I say, I would suggest you create them in tabs here. Use the tab for how it was designed, and then you can have them sitting alongside in the tabs in that way. And probably if you arrange them in the same layout, so you always have one as your base one, and then your second time frame, then your third time frame for whatever that may be, and then they're nice and neatly stacked, so you know which is which when you're clicking on them, moving through them quickly. So I hope you can see how the market analyzer is enormously helpful. It doesn't look terribly encouraging when you first open it. You think, gosh, this doesn't look terribly exciting. And to be honest, it doesn't. But once you start to populate it, it really does come to life. And I hope that in this video, I've shown you that certainly as far as the Forex indicators are concerned, Forex specific. But remember, of course, all the indicators work in any chart. So whilst this has got a Forex flavor to it, all the other indicators will, of course, work in exactly the same way. I just didn't have enough real estate space to lay it all out and make it look good on screen. Now, finally, just before I wrap up, let me just show you that time frame issue. If we right-click on here and we go to columns again, and we click on any of these indicators, let's click on the currency CSI. What you will see up here is the data series window. There it is. And you'll see the type, we're on minute, and the value is 1. And that is where you change your time frame. A little bit clunky, I agree. But there we are. That's the way to do it. So I've shown you that here, but I'll also do it in a separate video just in case you miss it on the end of this one. And you do that in the same way for all of these as well. Although you can have mix, but I would suggest you keep them all the same to keep it simple, because you will probably forget. There we go. I hope you've enjoyed this particular video. Lots more to come as always. So thanks for watching. See you soon, and bye for now.